laptop because I'm going to control it from back here.
I forget I'm on camera, so. I'm also like not aware of like what time it is because this is my first time coming back in 2 years, which I'm super, super excited to be back here. And anytime Miss Alyssa asks me to be here, I'm like, yes, please, I would love to come back because I feel like the space here, not only the school, but the classroom and the environment that she shares with you is like beyond like a lot of college classes. Like what you're learning is probably like at least 2 years or 4 years of college into like one condensed class. So we're really lucky to have her, and I'm just so happy to be here. So I have a hand here.
It's 12:09.
Okay, thank you for helping me. I appreciate it, thank you. Okay, so I'm a writer, director, producer, visual artist, public artist, and I also just love creating new spaces and places for artists, for myself, and also just testing boundaries with things. So let's talk about Whirlwind Woman. So this is something for me, like anytime that I present with anything from my cultural background, I have to make sure that I'm knowledgeable enough to share what I'm sharing. So I have to research, but I also have to ask elders or ask people from my tribe what's appropriate and what isn't to share. So I'm going to share like the modified version of Whirlwind Woman. So she was an entity or like a deity that came to us and taught us our traditional ways, our values, and our teachings. But she also taught us quill working, which is before beadworking, before the French trade, before we had glass beads, we had quillworks, which were made out of porcupine quills, dyed and then processed and made into, patterns like on that poster there and on people's clothing. So like imagine like everything that they wore there was made out of quillworks, and that takes a lot of time and energy. So if you're a young person, for example, we talked about this last time, coming of age, that means that when you come into, like if you have your moon time, for young men, if you come into puberty, you're supposed to learn your path and what your purpose is. We don't have that in society anymore. Like in fact, there's no transition from you all from being little guys or young people to growing into young adulthood. Like there's no transition, you're just expected to like, just ride it, right? Just go for it, and you know what I mean? And not really have an idea of how do you move forward in this world. And so that's what they would do, is they'd make regalia for these people to wear, these young people, and then they would have ceremony for them. And a lot of times the young men would fast, like the boys would go out and they would fast for like 4 days without food or water. And I really would recommend that as is, just for people to go out on your own, spend a lot of time by yourself and just contemplate, and maybe go without food for a day from sun up to sundown, and just contemplate on what you want to do. Bring your journal, bring your art supplies, whatever, leave your phone at home, and just be by yourself and just your thoughts, and figure out what do I want to do with my life. You don't have to have an answer, it's just a good practice to get into, because that's what I do, that's what I did last summer on the wall, is I spent a lot of time in the heat, I spent a lot of time without food, I had water of course, but I spent a lot of time just by myself, and just putting prayers on the wall and intentions on the wall, and creating and praying for like everyone here, but also everyone in the world. So that was my intention. And that's how I use my art, and that's why there's an adaptation of Whirlwind Woman. So
when she says on the wall, by the way, that's like a muralist talk for doing a mural on a wall. And there's something special about like interacting with this huge artwork that's bigger than you, that everyone can see, that's interacting with the sky and the plants and the weather. So I get you.
Yeah, it's a favorite, it's the best place to be. I mean, other than here, don't get me wrong. Okay. So can I have somebody read for me this description of Whirlwind Woman? Whoever's got an amazing voice. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. In a time when we are lost on earth, we must look to the past, to our origin stories, and the stars, and connect them to what's so funny, and connection to Mother Earth to help us find our way. Whirlwind Woman is
Keep going, you're doing good.
Whirlwind Woman is a significant. Alright. Whirlwind Woman
Levi,
is
yeah.
a significant part of the creation of the Arapaho people. She brought co-working to the tribe and signifies the creative power of women and the importance of women in our society. Whirlwind Woman signifies all of the creation and is the center of our world. Our ancestors thought of us and prayed for us to be here today. They ensured that we would always have a connection to our ancestral ways and traditional teachings.
All right, good job, thank you. So it's Arapaho, and that's where my family comes from the Wind River Reservation in Wyoming. So this is my context in the world, yes. This one? So this is Hinanae, which is like the people. So it's like we don't call ourselves, there's no description for us, it's just the people. So like we're technically all Arapaho. Just like Anishinaabe say Anishinaabe, which means just people. So it's easier than like just identifying us as like labels, right? So I'm big against labels. So, all right, should we go to the next one?
On it.
Yeah. So this one's a billboard. See, these are billboards that were up in the Twin Cities. And so maybe you got to see them, maybe you got a glimpse. And they show up for like 8 seconds and then it goes to the next one. But anything native that you see on billboards, that's the cohort that I belong to, which is We Are Still Here with Hennepin Theater Trust and Alma Relations Gallery. And we learned animation. I already knew animation a little bit, but I also learned how to design billboards. So now that's a skill set that I have. One day, if I ever want to teach other people how to do it, I can do that too. So this is really to acknowledge Whirlwind Woman, but also to acknowledge our elders, our legacies, and also those teachings. So a lot of symbols that I put in my work now, my visual artwork, is in my graphic design are actually geometric Arapaho symbols, which could be translated to other tribes. So it was our way of communicating before written language. So there's a symbol here. These are buffalo hooves, and there's actually a poster in here that has the same symbols as this on here. And if you can find it,
That one over there? It's like
Got through you with the eagle eye.
I know, yeah, it is, it's that poster there. So there's actually two symbols here. There's the buffalo hoof and then also the teepee symbol. And so that tells a story. On the side, see how if you go like this, it's tilted sideways?
which
And it's in
poster?
the
There's
center,
like
where the
seven
two
of them.
horses. See the two horses, the two fallen two horses?
Oh yeah.
Yep, so that's the same symbol as there. And so what that means to me is that it's acknowledging the teepee as, and then the buffalo and the correlation between the two, meaning everything that our buffalo relative gives to us is either like food, shelter, clothing, we make our tools, we make anything. It's what we call in the art world utilitarian, which means we can use the body parts for everything. And so our buffalo relative agreed to give their life to us, and that's why we honor them with symbols. We honor them in our artwork, we honor them in our songs and in our prayers because they gave their life so that we can be sustained. And it's also a protection symbol, so I always make sure that I have protection symbols in my pieces, or there's an intention for people when they're reading it or ingesting it, because you are taking it into your psyche, you are taking it into yourself. So I have to be responsible, it's important. And so this is, right here is a galaxy or a nebulous, and that's a whirlwind symbol. And here is Bear Butte in South Dakota, and that's a sacred site. And so here in Minnesota, we have the largest concentration of sacred sites. So we have Bedote. How many of you have heard of Bedote? Yes. Can you tell me with your hand up there in the Fanta shirt?
Yeah, it's nearby. What is it called? That one place that used to be I forgot what it's called. Oh yeah, Port Telling. It's by that, and it's like the connection of rivers. And it's like probably anniversary.
So it's a convergence of the Mississippi and the Minnesota River,
Yeah.
and it's thought to be creation to the Dakota people. But my people also were here too, and there are a lot of other tribes that were here as well that also practice that belief too. And so if we look at the Mississippi and we look at the sky above, we see that the Milky Way is in alignment with the Mississippi. And so for us, like the spirit world is beyond the Milky Way. So when we talk about the stars, we come from the stars, we literally come from the stars. And so to us, like that spirit world is like heaven to maybe like the Christian or Catholic beliefs or Lutheran belief. Again, like to Mecca or to other places that say that there's another world. So that's our belief. And I always acknowledge our sacred sites. I always acknowledge our star knowledge, because right now we really need that, because you know our earth is changing. We don't see the sun as much as we used to, right? Our planting seasons are off, so we also need to find those stories, no matter where they come from, you know, about planting and when to plant. That's really important. So we'll go to the next one. Oh yeah, and then the morning star. So this is Whirlwind Woman, that's the name. So the morning star is the last star that's left up when the sun breaks, or when the day breaks. And that's what we pray to every morning. And that also is, represents creation in the beginning. So my dad used to always say, every morning when you wake up, you say, you know, how grateful you are because you have a new beginning. Like every time, it's like Groundhog's Day, right? Every day, or Russian doll, right? Every day you get to start over. And it's on Netflix. It's basically saying that you get a chance to start again, and you get to try again every time you wake up. So. Right?
Yeah, I talked, you know, if a student and I butt heads, or I'm having, like, we're not seeing eye to eye, or we have a hard day together, every day they come in here is a fresh start for me with that student. And I feel like that's worked well for me. You know, we all make mistakes. I make mistakes too. Try again, right? All lifelong. So then you've got 3 of these videos. Anybody know why they're so short?
Because they're supposed to be gifts.
Kind of like
Yeah,
It's a
who
billboard.
said that?
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a billboard. So Levi, why is it gotta be short? Why is it
Because
billboard?
there's other slides on a billboard too.
That's right.
Right. You just drive past it. So what is? I mean, Missy, what 2-3 seconds are like content that doesn't change a whole bunch, right?
Yeah, so it's gonna be pretty impactful. So the next one I think that we're gonna show, that one is also a billboard, and that one's more impactful as well. Like, it looks so cool downtown. Like, on my Insta, I have like a picture of myself in front of it. Like, somebody took a photo of me. And I just, like, I have to say this one's probably my favorite one for a lot of reasons, but just the impact that it has from far away. And also, like, how much information I put within that. I mean, you still have to read it, but there's still, if you see the symbol of the red hand and you know what the red hand means, and you associate the colors of Pocahontas here, you're gonna be like, okay, she was human trafficked, without even reading anything of the narrative. You're gonna see. But this is like an actual photograph of her, and what she looked like. I mean, not a photograph, but like a painting, a rendering of what she looked like. But they lightened her skin. You know, a lot of those photos, or a lot of those paintings and things like that, they lighten your skin to make you look civilized. So they did that with boarding school photographs too, with kids before they were assimilated. So they do like before where they're really dark, and then after where they're lighter skinned, which is really like psychological, right? It's a psychological trick.
So Missy just dropped a bunch of really big words, and I want to circle back to those after lunch, because those are words I bet you've heard. And that kind of stuff has been, you know, stuff that our society has done for a long, long time. It's really important to understand them. When we come back from lunch, if you want to grab an iPad or your device that you have, you can do this VR or AR before we start class up again,